Good evening. Indian news media. Who owns it? Who runs it? Who actually owns and runs it? Ironically, for a profession that espouses transparency and accountability, just how the business of Indian media is structured is frankly a maze of financial dealings, shell companies, corporate control, and sometimes living with a sword hanging. My name is Anubha Bhonsle, and I'm sure you've all heard earlier this week, 23rd August, the Adani Group announced it will be acquiring shares in NDTV. Following it, a statement was made by NDTV's founder promoters, Radhika and Pranoy Roy, that this move was made without consultation or consent. Now, to truly understand this story, its why, its how, what next, one actually needs to follow journalism's basic tenet. Follow the money. Well, this is how the story goes. This week, the media arm of Adani Enterprises bought 100% of the equity stakes in Vishwa Pradhan Commercial Private Limited or VCPL. VCPL has a running loan agreement with NDTV. In 2009, VCPL gave a loan of 403 crores to Radhika Roy Pranoy Roy Private Limited or RRPR, an entity which holds 29% stake in NDTV. This loan was collateral and interest-free. There was one condition though. VCPL could convert the loan warrants into 99.9% of the shares in RRPR at any time during the tenure of the loan or thereafter without requiring any further act or deed on the part of the lender. To be honest, this is the crux of what happened on Tuesday after the Adani Group bought VCPL. The VCPL loan was always a bit of an odd one, and I'll explain in detail in just a bit. Even the securities regulator, SEBI, had flagged this loan as saying that the takeover exercise had been conveniently couched as a loan agreement with the predominant intention being to acquire control over NDTV, unquote. So from 2009, this loan was in full public domain. It did raise eyebrows, but really all was going okay till the Adani Group went and acquired VCPL and turned the tables in a manner of speaking. NDTV says it was blindsided by this acquisition of VCPL by the Adani Group. The question then also arises that before the Adani Group came into picture, who is VCPL that handed out 400 crores to NDTV, and why did NDTV need this in the first place? The global financial crisis of 2008 hit NDTV amongst most media organizations. In 2006, the promoters had taken a loan from India Bulls Financial Services at high interest rates to fund an IPO. They were unable to service this loan. When VCPL entered, it offered an unsecured loan of 403.85 crores to RRPR. But the thing to note here is that VCPL is a shell company. It has no assets. Where did it get 400 crores money to lend? Well, it got it from another company called Shinano Retail Private Limited, which until 2012 also owned VCPL. Now, Shinano in turn got the money also as an interest-free loan from Reliance Industrial Investments and Holdings Limited, that's part of Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Group. So simply put, Reliance gave money to Shinano, which gave money to VCPL, which gave money to NDTV. To those who follow this sector, there's been no surprise. It has been crystal clear forever that Reliance was at the end or the other side of this deal of an unsecured loan. At the time Shinano gave VCPL money to lend to NDTV, it was a fully owned subsidiary of the Reliance Group. VCPL's directors were also senior executives at Reliance Industries Limited. It was all really okay, somewhat fine, because no one actually rocked the boat. The loan warrants weren't exercised and NDTV continued to function the way it wanted to. The understanding also was that over the course of time, a buyer would be found who would perhaps be cognizant of the credibility of NDTV in this entire market and repay the loan, and that in a sense would have been a fairy tale ending. In 2012, a slight shift took place. Two companies linked to Mahendra Nahata, a director at Reliance Jio Infocom Limited, took over VCPL. So the shift was from Mukesh Ambani owning it to one of his close aides owning it. Again, nothing changed on the face of it. Till 2022, August 23rd, when Reliance's rival, the Adani Group, stepped into the picture and simply bought out VCPL for around 113 crores.
Well, but what really happened? They took over and chose to rock the boat, exercising the options and control of 99.5% of RRPR, which is about 29% of NDTV. Now, there are many baffling aspects to this story. For instance, why did Mukesh Ambani's Reliance have to sell NDTV to the Adani Group? And I say sell, but it was not just sell, but also support and celebrate in a sense. There are multiple reasons for that, and we are recommending a few pieces that we're going to link in our description that you must read to try and understand this. The former editor of Forbes, Indrajit Gupta, has written a fantastic piece in Founding Fuel. We'll link that in. There was a Twitter thread and Twitter Spaces by Deepak Shenoy. Sucheta Dalal has done a few pieces. The Caravan and the News Laundry have continued to focus on the media sector. This is a story of a takeover, of a hostile one, of bad business practices, of corporate ownership, but it is equally a story of one of the few solid independent voices in journalism from the legacy media that have stayed true to the tenets of journalism and have remained critical of the government. We're leaving you with one final image that's actually an apt representation of who owns big Indian media and how they control it. The Jains, who own Bennett and Coleman and therefore Times of India, Economic Times, you name it. The Birlas, who own Mint, the Kotak family that has interests in Business Standard, the Ambanis, who own the entire network 18, and as this picture will indicate, there are similar examples in the southern channels, also in vernacular media. To be honest, it's not very different from the West, where Amazon and Bezos control Washington Post, Salesforce Benioff controls the Time magazine, and there are many more examples. Before we go, I think it is an absolutely good practice for you to know who owns the news you're watching or consuming. Newsworthy is a registered trademark of Sumud Media, which is a partnership firm where I own the majority stake. Another 10% is in the name of my mother. I have been both an employee of NDTV and of Network 18 that was taken over by Reliance Industries. I hold a few hundred shares of NDTV, which I bought when I was an employee there from 2000 to 2005. These were not ESOPs. At Network 18, which I quit in 2018 as the executive editor, I held ESOPs, majority of which have been sold. Sumud Media works with many organizations doing work on storytelling and social impact. All the work of this nature is available on our LinkedIn page. I'll link that up as well. We do get contributions from viewers like you via our Razorpay account. They have been approximately to the tune of $1 lakh in about a year. On YouTube, where we have recently switched on our monetization tab, we are yet to make any revenue. We are $300, I think. I'm hoping you're going to try and change that. You're going to use the super thanks feature to enable good, solid, independent journalism that's accountable to you and just you, the citizen. Remain like that. You know how to use that super thanks feature. It comes up right next to the like, subscribe. Just click it, pay an amount that you can, that you think we are worthy of, and we'll stay accountable to you, the viewer. If you've been watching, thank you very much for your time.